Welcome, travelers and tale seekers, to the tavern, where we gather around the digital hearth to share secrets, unravel mysteries, and dive deep into the realms of imagination. Pull up a chair, grab a tankard of your favorite brew, and get ready for a journey through the lands of anime, manga, literature, and truly all of your beloved tales. But here in the tavern, secrets aren't just whispers in the night. They're the heart of our merry gathering. They transform you from a mere spectator into a sage of stories and a master of lore. So let your worries fade, your curiosity reign, and your laughter fill the air as we embark on an adventure filled with camaraderie, discovery, and of course, all the tales you can handle. Because in the Tavern of Tales, we don't just talk about our favorite media, we truly live and breathe them. Join me and your beloved co-host for another adventure into tales and media. Welcome to the Bard's Tavern Talk. All I'm saying is, when they start this zombie curse and we are flooded with zombies, they're just gonna follow my scent and be ravenous, and I'm gonna have to like adapt to that, and then like whenever that particular smell is no longer a problem, then I'll be like the best survivalist in a zombie situation. That's my point.
Or it's gonna make them intensely slow, like not shambling slow, but like
almost worse. Like
like
or they walk in circles for
like fake slow mo, like Zach or what was Zach? Oh, God damn it! What was that guy's name from Scrubs? Zach.
Oh, I don't remember his name.
Oh God, to the scrolls.
To the scrolls. So. Today, we will be led by the rogue, and our subject will be
RWBY.
So, for those of you who don't know, it was a show created by Monty Oum called RWBY, and I loved it. I watched it when there were new episodes, but my knowledge stops around season 2, and there are how many now?
8. Well, coming out with 9 and an anime and a 3-season side story called RWBY Chibi.
Did you say Chibi?
Yeah, RWBY Chibi.
Is that like Gundam SD?
No. Well, it's actually part of the canon. It's just a different take on said canon.
Huh.
Okay, so you have RWBY, right? And with RWBY, you have the main plot,
right,
and zero concept of time in between moments for that plot. Well, they came out with it as soon as so I'm gonna say that there's 3 major arcs right now to the story, which is the fall of Beacon, the trip to Haven, or the battle at Haven, and the arrival at Atlas. Those are not the main canon names for them. It's just that's how I do it, or my names for them. Well, in between the trip to Haven, or the battle at Haven, and the fall of Beacon, they came out with a sub-series called RWBY Chibi that was basically all the shit that you missed from the time gaps at the school. So it's just like more character development, but the characters are chibi and it's cute and it's like super lighthearted.
What I hear is a goofy retcon to explain some things.
No, more like just extra character development.
Just extra character development for the sake of just character development.
Yeah.
Well, at least,
but without skipping a beat. It's kind of like their little misadventures and mishaps at school. Like,
dude, I could get behind that if it was genuinely done as its own. Yeah, I could really get behind that. I loved all the characters. RWBY is adorable, and you really she's the underdog. You're really rooting for her in the beginning. You fall in love with her, and Weiss is a bitch, and she kind of stays a bitch.
Ice queen.
The bitch face.
So for those of you who have no idea what I'm talking about, because this show is geared towards, those of you who have no idea what the fuck I'm talking about, RWBY is a show by Rooster Teeth. It was, God, it's spanning 8 seasons now. So 8 years ago, which would be basic paper, napkin math, would be 2016, 2014. 2014. And it was a web series that developed for Monty Oum after he started working for Rooster Teeth, after he created the Dead Fantasy series. The guy was super talented, super good at animating, and he produced this show. And to me, it's amazing. I love it. To get into kind of like a synopsis of it, it's basically these 4 girls, RWBY, Weiss, Blake, and Yang, are attending a school to become huntresses. The world is full of Grimm, or monsters called Grimm, and the Huntress Academies are basically schools to train huntresses that hunt these Grimm that protect the cities.
Original release was July 18th, 2013.
2013. Damn, it's been a long time.
Yeah.
God, this show is so good.
Yeah, we're getting old.
God. Anyway, these 4 characters, which I thought was interesting side note, each one of the characters in the main cast, for every character that's in the main cast, they're all based off of fairy tales or legends. For example, RWBY, her design was based off of Little Red Riding Hood. Weiss is Snow White. Blake Belladonna was Beauty and the Beast, so she's supposed to be the Beast. And I'm not sure where Yang's influence comes from.
Dude.
I can't remember.
I never fucking knew
Cinderella.
That. Oh. Okay, so RWBY, the spelling, the way that they do spelling in this world, why is it so weird? Because RWBY is not spelled R-U-B-Y, it's R-W-B-Y.
True. I'm not exactly sure. They've never actually touched on that note, but there's actually an episode where they argue over one of the new team names after the fall of Beacon. One of the characters is no longer part of the team, so they had to replace her, and they were arguing over whether they should call it Team Junior or Team Ranger, because Junior is J, or the way they were going to pronounce Junior was JNRR, because they had 4 people and 2 were R's with starts of their name, and then they were trying to rearrange the letters to make it sound funnier, or to make it sound like a cool team name, and they finally got on Team Ranger, but they argued about it for like 2 episodes. It was pretty fun.
I like it. The arguments are pretty great. My favorite thing, and if you guys are into a really good story, this is worth watching from beginning to end. If you are in it for specifically the animation, then the first couple of seasons
Are fucking horrible.
are probably going to struggle for you. But you have to remember, we're talking about 2013, guys that basically worked
in their basement.
For free. This was a labor of love with what we had.
So, speaking of that labor of love, guess what else they did?
What did they did?
They originally, Rooster Teeth, or Cockbite Animation, they started their original series was actually the one with Halo.
Red versus Blue. Okay, so real quick, there is another podcast called Fuckface, which is Jeff Ramsey's. It's Jeff Ramsey, Gavin Free, and oh my god, I forget the other guy's name. But he is an absolute trip as well. But you should go listen to this podcast. Jeff Ramsey is like the head honcho over there at Cockbite Animation. Rooster Teeth.
That's gonna live rent free. Just so you know.
Yeah, forever now. But I like Jeff Ramsey as a person, he's a good guy. He seems like a genuine individual, and he was probably one of my heroes when it came to doing stuff like this.
We should have him on the show.
Yeah.
If you're listening, we'd like to interview you, sir.
I'm going to go tag him in this just to see if it happens. Because one of the things that they do in the show is email people. And just, one of the characters, I don't think it's Gavin Free. I think it's the other guy. We will just randomly email somebody and see if he gets a response. So I'm going to push this and see if I get a response. Hopefully we do.
That would be cool.
That would be cool.
So going back to our main argument to do. So this series is based off of fairy tales and how fairy tales can become true. Fairy tales come from somewhere. That was the whole premise of this show, and they took it in such a fantastic direction. And so remember when I told you that when we talked about it in the Guts episode, how like the writer didn't ever make mistakes, everything was super intentional,
right?
Like there was prototyping in the show, but there wasn't ever actually like any kind of like serious mistakes he made,
right?
This show does unfortunately make a bunch of them, so don't go in expecting that this show is going to be perfect, because it's not, but it's still super good. Like I enjoyed it just for the sheer of enjoyment. But these 4 characters, they go to school and they live their everyday lives becoming huntresses at a school of schooledness for the reasons of schooling. And they get into hijinks, and those hijinks eventually turn serious and take a more serious note. And there's ne'er-do-wells and evildoers throughout the series that I thought it was a very interesting way to tell a story. I don't know. What's your opinion on it?
Well, side note, who was the kid with the monkey tail?
That was Sun.
Okay, Sun is 100% the Monkey King. Yeah, that was his origins.
Yes, absolutely.
And he fits it to a T. It just dawned on. I'm sitting here like wrapping my brain around all these other characters.
So the other team, with Jean, Pyrrha, Nora, and Ren.
Right.
This'll fuck you up. Guess what their whole team was based off of?
What?
Old legends or war heroes.
No.
Yeah. Old legends or war heroes, but gender bends. Jean is Joan of Arc.
Is Pyrrha
Achilles?
No.
Pyrrha is Achilles. Nora is Thor. And Ren's the one that fucks me up. Take a gander. Motherfucking Mulan.
What?
Yeah.
No.
Which I believe Mulan is actually a true story. Not the Disney version, but there is a true legend. It's either a true story or...
I know that there was a woman that became a soldier, but I think that happened a lot more. There was just one that did something special. I don't know if anyone here that hears this knows what I'm talking about. Drop the information.
So
there's a manga.
Oh yes, there's a manga. There's an anime series,
and it came out in Weekly Shonen Jump.
Yep.
And I'm super sad I never get to see that.
There's actually two video games right now.
Two video games?
Yeah, there's I believe there's one for PlayStation 5, which is I guess like during the misadventures of their current predicament. And then there's another one called RWBY Dark Eclipse, which I got it during early access and haven't played it recently, but what I saw was a really solid beat 'em up game, and it was pretty fucking good.
I like beat 'em up games.
I'm a classic, or I like the classics myself.
Why does Monty Oum look like an anime character in this picture?
Because he's a majestic creature.
Look at that.
The guy's beautiful. Like,
That man looks like he is about 4 seconds away from a really serious battle that's going to destroy half the city.
so yeah, going about that, I feel like so a lot of people will argue that there's two sides to RWBY. There's before the fall of Beacon, which is the true RWBY and how it was planned out, and then there's after that when unfortunately Monty Oum passed. He passed at the beginning of the pandemic. He passed, and then the show it's starting to take a more serious note, a more, I wouldn't say dark fantasy, but it is getting more serious as the plot goes on. And a lot of people don't like it. Like, the fandom for this is really super divided. I've never seen a fandom more split than this, really, honestly.
And see, I love that it gets that deep. I hate that it gets that deep, but I still love it because you've got people that, like, I got one of our friends into RWBY by showing him a 15-second video, and he pretty much went from there and has watched the entire show, like, more than I have. It is easy to get addicted to.
What's really interesting is the fight choreography in the show.
Yeah,
like the animation takes a serious turn. It doesn't progressively get better. It like jarringly gets better.
Yeah,
like seasons 1 through 3 are like, season 1 was everybody in the background, or in the background was a black silhouette.
I remember that. And you knew
season 2 they started getting like 2D animation for it, and then season 3 they became 3D models.
Well, but you knew, here's the thing, you knew who was going to be important if you could see him in the background. And I do miss that. There was a little bit of transparency there where you saw somebody in the background and you're like, ooh, a guy. And it didn't matter if, the secret was out. And I don't know if that was a placeholder and they were just like, let me just go ahead and throw this guy in here. But I loved it, and I never saw it as a bad thing.
No, I thought it was interesting, which it was really cool because when the show came out, you didn't even notice that. Like, I notice it now because I've seen seasons 1 through 3 like 500 times.
Right.
Because I've shown you, I showed all my friends.
Well, I started watching it when it was still new. I started watching it in high school. No, it wasn't.
That couldn't have been it. It was when you moved in with me.
No,
I was the one that showed you RWBY.
Were you?
Yeah. Remember? Because it came out.
No,
on
I started
Netflix.
watching Red vs. Blue in high school. Okay, I got it confused there.
Yeah, I showed you RWBY when you were living with me because it came out on Netflix.
Yep.
And they did the first 3 airings on Netflix. Now, unfortunately, you can watch the first 3 seasons for free on YouTube, as far as I know. But after that, you kind of have to go over to Rooster Teeth and do the subscription, which the subscription, if you're watching RWBY, in my opinion, it's $5 a month. It's worth it. Plus, you're putting it in. This is an indie studio. This is an indie. It is an independent developer's brand. So, I mean,
you're paying people that genuinely love what they do. It's worth it.
Yeah. And this show is a labor of love. You can tell. Like I said, it's not perfect, but it is a fantastic show. So these kids go to school, they learn how to fight monsters, and there's a whole, like, let's sidebar for a second. You want to talk about world development? They have dedicated episodes to telling you about the economy, how magic works, how the fairy tales become, or where fairy tales came from, and how all of them are true.
Terrorist groups and the history of the terrorist groups, political positions,
how the kingdom, or how the countries and kingdoms were built, how the people live their day-to-day lives. I mean, it's not hinted at; it's directly in chunks of episodes presented to you. So you know what's going on.
There's no question, yeah.
Like, you're thrown into this world, and
I remember whenever they found out that Blake was An animal person.
Faunus.
A faunus. I'm sorry.
So-
a furry person.
Any time that there's so there's two different species of human. There's the humans, and then there's the faunus. Faunus take over animal traits.
Like monkey tail, cat ears, but they also get like a bonus, like agility,
So
toe fingers.
I'm gonna spoil it. I'm gonna spoil a quick thing for an episode here recently in the new episodes. So Penny, do you remember Penny?
The robot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She is talking to Ruby about Ruby semblance, and she's breaking down how Ruby semblance works. And Blake leans over and she goes, "Did she figure that out before you did?" And she goes, "Sweetheart, she told me that you were a faunus before I knew you were a faunus."
I remember that. She goes, "Oh, the faunus girl," and everybody goes, "What?" That was how they introduced everyone to her being a faunus, because for the first like 2 episodes, she has a bow on her head, and you can't see the ears.
Yep.
Which this was before furry things were normal. So I don't want to hear your nonsense. But if you have nonsense, leave it in the comments, because I do want to read your nonsense. I love that stuff. Negativity, let it rain. Anyway,
We're gonna sit here in our own bath of salt to quote you.
oh yeah, no, we are impervious. So I absolutely love the show. I love the characters. I love that the bad guy is based off of what is his name from A Clockwork Orange? The bad guy. In the
Oh,
white
you're
jacket.
talking about Roman Torchig.
Yeah.
Yeah, he actually is not the big bad though.
No, but he's the bad guy for the first season.
For the first 3 seasons, yep. And then it turns to Cinderfall, which another thing, like, so fucking what's her name? Blake's or Yang's mom shows up and in the series later on in the series, and it was pretty funny how like so Cinder is the one of the evil ne'er-do-wells. Her name is Cinderfall. Well, what's interesting about this is she is the representation of the fall maiden, and maidens are the only people that can cast magic, and they're kept in secret for that reason. Well, this one in particular, since she's the big bad, she cares not about being, in the spotlight. Well, she's talking to Yang's mom, and Yang's mom goes on a rant about how shitty of a ne'er-do-well she is, and she's like, "And your name is Cinderfall," which seems it's just too ironic for you to have the Fall Maiden powers and have that name, so you must have picked it yourself.
No.
And shit's all over her.
Oh, that's awesome.
Which, by the way, rockstar cast. Did you know that Jessica Negri plays Cinderfall?
I did not, because I don't know off top.
The famous, the famous, really, 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 really attractive cosplayer, Jessica Negri. She's really popular as a cosplayer. Like, I would say she had a lot to do with how cosplay is become mainstream. I know you've seen this shit before. She also did the voice for Lollipop Chainsaw.
Oh, you should have started with that one.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
The chick from Lollipop Chainsaw. I know who you're talking about.
yeah. Like, anyway, yeah. I just side note, which there's going to be a lot of side notes in this in this episode, just for those
RWBY
of you who
is
are aware.
As a show kind of functions that way.
Yeah, a lot of side notes that build the world, and the world is like
Dynamic. It's large.
And
It's
it feels like, even though, like, so there's only 4 main kingdoms, right? It's been 8 seasons and we haven't seen the 4th kingdom. Like, we haven't explored any of that part of the world yet.
well, so you're gonna ruin the entire show for me, because I haven't seen anything past, like, they were still in Beacon.
Beacon Academy,
Yeah.
which was part of Vale. Yeah. And God, we got to get you to sit down and watch it.
Oh, I'm going to watch it after this because it's going to bug me because you're going to tell me all about it and then I'm going to get aggravated enough to go watch it.
Yeah. It's good.
It's good.
But so like you have this deep world that they've built and the interesting dynamic between the characters, and it's a fantastic show. It really captures your imagination. So going back to the quick synopsis, these 4 girls, you follow them, they go through school, and then the ne'er-do-wells come in, and what the ne'er-do-wells are looking for are 4 mystical items and the 4 girls that can cast magic. Because the ne'er-do-well, the evildoer Salem, who creates all the Grimm and makes the world the shitty place that it is trying to destroy the world.
It's an ironic name, Salem.
Why is that? I mean, aside from the Salem witch trials,
it's because of the everything has symbolism situation with the show. It is everything evil. Salem was like the birth, or I guess the most popular of the witch trials. It would be, I don't know, it's kind of ironic.
Fair enough. I can see that.
Maybe ironic's not the right word. It's kind of, I don't know.
Cliche.
It's maybe? Cliche, maybe. Yeah, maybe a little cliche, maybe a little too overused.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Oh, so the story goes that basically there were 2 gods, the brothers, right? The brother of light and the brother of dark. They created the world, which you'll learn about as you watch the series. When they created the world, they had an agreement with one another, and they were like, hey, like, you stay on this side, well, I'm stay on this side, and we'll create life and dark, or life and death as we see accordingly.
Right.
Well, they never got jealous of each other until a hero dies, Ozma. Well, his wife, Salem, she gets pissed off, and she's like, look, bring him back. So she goes to the brother of light and says, bring him back. He says, no, because I have this agreement with my little brother that I can't do that, and it'll throw the world out of balance, and it'll fuck up our arrangement. So she goes to the brother dark and says, hey, this isn't cool, like, and it causes an argument between the brothers. Well, they punish her. They punish her by giving her eternal life, right? And so she spends hundreds of years rallying people to go fight against the brothers and say, look, they're, she tricks people into fighting the brothers. And the brothers were like, oh no, we're putting a stop to this. So they do. They're like, they stop humankind, right?
Right.
They rebuild it, and then say that she has to walk the earth for the rest of her days. Well, she can never die. Kingdoms have tried to kill her. Well, that's how Salem became, right? So the brothers put Ozpin back on the planet, and they give him a mission. They say, look, in X amount of time, we're going to give you 4 magical items. And if
Ozpin.
Ozma was originally, or Ozpin was originally Ozma. I'm getting to that.
We are talking about the principal.
Yes,
Ozma.
yes, the principal of the school for Beacon.
Wow.
He was a hero. Yeah. Okay. So do you remember when he said, when he pulled Ruby aside and after this is, I believe, the 2nd episode, Weiss. Yeah. Okay. So Weiss throws a temper tantrum about Ruby becoming the leader.
3rd.
Yeah, something along those lines. It happens in the first goddamn season.
It might be 4th or 5th episode because I forgot the bitches are only like 10 seconds long.
So he pulls Ruby aside because Ruby's like, should I really have been appointed leader? And he goes, Ruby, I have made more mistakes than every man, woman, and child on the earth. I don't think that me appointing you leadership at this time is one of those mistakes. Well, come to fucking find out, that guy's been reincarnated thousands and thousands of times because it's serving out a punishment for Salem.
That's deeper than a damn.
So what's happening is Salem can't die. So she's pissed off that she can't die. So now she's trying to gather those 4 relics. And when she gathers the 4 relics, she can summon the brothers back and
have it out with them again over it, I guess.
Well, no. The idea is she wants to divide humankind so bad and make them seem so unworthy that it would wipe them off of the face of the planet and the brothers would get sick of her shit and finally end her life. Because now she's separated from her one true love because they're now plotting against each other to try and get the relics and keep them safe. One is protecting humanity, the other one's trying to destroy it.
What a bitch.
Yeah.
Fuck.
And she's pissed off because she's basically throwing a temper tantrum. A thousands of years old temper tantrum. And that's where all the fairy tales come in. All the fairy tales in between the time that you hear about it now and the time that you hear about it when their war started. That's why they're all true, is because they're all legends instead of fairy tales.
No shit.
Yeah. And it's a really interesting take on how to write a world and how to write a story in my mind. Well, fast forward, we get to the girls that are in the school, and you're following around these 4 girls as they have their misadventures and hijinks until the fall of Beacon. Well, the fall of Beacon is basically the ne'er-do-wells win, right? And they destroy Beacon to get to the relic, as they're called. Well, in this process, they wind up killing Ozpin, so he reincarnates into a like-minded soul called Oscar.
A like-minded to who?
A like-minded to him.
Okay.
So Ozpin was originally Ozma, which was a world-renowned hero. Well, he fell in love with Salem, and he died from tragic, normal causes, and that's what started the whole thing. So the girls are now tasked, after the fall of Beacon, of gathering the relics together to keep them away from Salem. And the events that happen thereafter. But I mean, like, so what makes this show so interesting is not necessarily the main plot, because that's kind of watered down and not all that great. But the adventures that the girls go on.
I don't know, the plot
and
isn't
the world
really
building.
watered down. Exactly, because of the world building, the plot is very crisp. And
I'd say it's more rich than crisp. Like there's always more to explore.
Right.
I feel like every time you're like, it's like the slap chop or the sham wow of animation.
Slap chop.
But wait, there's more.
Wait, there's more.
I feel like that's the appropriate way to reach.
So, at this time, I want to take a break and let all of our listeners know that at the RWBY.com, you can use coupon code Tavern Talk to get 10% off of your order. Anything D&D related you will find there. They've got a lot of new stuff. They've got the world's smallest character sheet, which is something I think everyone can use if it's just a quick game in between work.
Or if you just want to bring your character sheet wherever you go with you.
You show off. Or if you're one of those DMs that likes to collect your victims after your characters, or after you kill your PCs. It's definitely fun. I love their products. I love when they send us some stuff to play with when we do our D&D episode. I can't wait to show you guys what that's like. But it's been the quality is unbelievable. I love everything that they have on the website. It's just packed with new stuff that we don't get around here. They are our friends in the UK, and they sent us this coupon code. It will be good until the end of January. So get in there while you can, and let them know that we sent you.
By using said coupon code.
Yeah. Or just letting them know.
Like, share, and subscribe for more.
So, my knowledge ends after the end of Beacon. You're telling me about them collecting relics and trying to keep them away from...
So I know I jumble around a bit when I talk about these.
You got to give me the timeline here, because I got to see what's... I need to know what's happening.
You want to talk about a fucking confusing ass timeline? Like, this shit seems like it happens over the course of a week. But what's really happening is months and months are passing by in this time frame. But it's because every episode is impactful and meaningful, and there's zero filler.
And that was because of the animation style. The way that they were animating things, there wasn't time to make filler episodes. So they just kind of kept rolling with what they had.
I think there's been 2 filler episodes that didn't feel like they were very impactful, and that's in the later seasons, and that's when the later seasons. So when the show first started out, each episode was only like 15 minutes long at tops.
Yeah,
for the first 3 seasons, and then slowly over time they started expanding it, each episode and into now their volumes. So, which is the preferred method to watch the show in.
Yeah.
Minus the fact that the fucking soundtrack for the show is amazing. Jeff Williams and Cassie Lee, they just pump out bangers the entire show. Like, the whole show is just amazing with the soundtrack.
It's one of those shows where whenever the music starts, you don't skip it.
Yeah.
you just listen because it's good.
Like, and every opener for the series is just amazing. What's really interesting is if you actually listen to the soundtrack, it tells the entire story.
I believe it.
Yeah, it does. It like, the hints are there, but it tells the entire story, the character motivations. It brings up parts of the characters. Like War, for example, which happens in season 8, they play it on a fight scene between RWBY and the Aesops from the Atlas military, and they become friends in the exchange of training together,
right? And
then they have to fight each other, and there's actually a song called War that literally is the opposing views of that song, or that the fight, and it's amazingly good. And it's a song about betrayal and how both sides feel about it, but it's like it's a banger. So the soundtrack's really good.
But how's the story, Mr. Soundtrack?
Dude, I don't know. I'm having the most ADD moments right now
because it's a good show and there's a lot to talk about. I don't feel like we gave this enough time.
Yeah, no, I really didn't. I just watched all 8 volumes and was like, all right, I'm pretty sure I remember everything.
Something important to note: everything that you think you know about the situation, you can go ahead and just delete it. Weapons aren't what you think they are.
Oh my god, every weapon is a gun.
Yeah, every weapon is a gun. Every weapon is also a blade. Every weapon transforms or does something funky. Weiss's is a rapier with a
Kusarigama.
It's a rapier.
Oh yeah, no, Weiss. I'm sorry. I thought you said Blake. My bad.
You're grounded.
Yeah.
Weiss is a rapier with a
revolver action.
Yeah, with a revolver action loaded with different dust, which is what they call magic. Ruby's is a dust-powered sniper rifle that's also a fucking scythe.
Yeah.
And she is a child. And this is a full fucking grown scythe and fucking Barrett. This is...
It's a 50 cal. Like, she actually explains that it's a 50 cal sniper rifle on top of being a scythe. Yang has my favorite weapon,
Yang is my favorite character.
Fucking shotgun gauntlets.
Shotgun gauntlets. And Yang's got this interesting power. Whenever her hair is damaged.
No. They actually explain it. It's whenever she takes damage.
No matter how much damage
she feels all of the pain, so her aura doesn't absorb it.
Right.
So aura is basically your soul protruded as an armor around your body.
It's your fucking shield.
Yeah.
It's your fucking shield.
It's a force field.
It's a force field.
Well, everybody has an aura. Because everything with a soul has an aura. Well, as you train your aura, you can unlock a special power that's unique to you. Ruby's is her speed, which she breaks herself down into at the molecular level, and that's how she's able to fly so fast. Weiss, she can summon or use glyphs to either change her speed or her polarity. She can also summon different monsters different Grimm.
They're really smart. They're really, really smart about how they use her powers.
Yeah. And then Blake, she can leave a copy of herself behind at different elements or different dusts.
There was a guy on Apex that could do that.
And then Yang's is basically a temper tantrum.
Rage. No, it is a berserk rage.
Yeah.
And it is glorious.
In one episode, this is the coolest thing she's done thus far. In one episode, she gets punched through a concrete pillar, which was covered by Death Battle. That they did all the math about how much pressure and how much of a pounding she took from that. She then got back up, activated her semblance, and then punched the damn thing back and blew it to pieces. Like
Yang is a beast, and she rides a motorcycle.
And she's a hot, big booty blondie.
And she rides a motorcycle. It's a big yellow motorcycle. I just like saying motorcycle.
So she winds. Where was I at before?
You're not telling the story at all.
No. Okay. So after the fall of Beacon, they start collecting the relics. In the middle of, or in between the fall of Beacon and the Battle of Haven, there's a bunch of character development that's kind of hard to explain in the time span that we have. And then they get to Beacon, or they get to Haven, and they fight off the Salem forces, and they fight off the White Fang, which the White Fang is a Faunus-oriented terrorist group that is seeking equality, led by Adam. God, what was his last name?
I don't remember.
Adam was the guy. He was the red-haired guy that had the white Grimm mask. He's the one that cut off Yang's arm. He followed.
What happened?
Oh yeah. Yang loses her arm in the fall of Beacon. She goes to save Blake, and Adam cuts her arm off. And Atlas Military builds her a brand new arm. Builds her a prosthetic.
Oh my god. I didn't know that she lost her arm.
Yeah. No, she loses her arm. And then Blake carries her out. And then there's a banger of an episode, or there's a banger of a badass song called It's My Time that plays in the background. It's pretty dope.
Every song they make for this show is awesome.
It really is good. The soundtrack is amazing.
Like, one
I
of the
can't sing
things-
its praises enough.
It's the kind of music you'll bang in your car after you're done listening to it. Like, you'll watch the show and you listen to it in the car and you'll get in the mode that you were in watching it. Be careful you don't get in a wreck.
Yeah, no kidding.
I love you guys.
And don't listen to it in like stop and go traffic because you will rear end somebody. So there's a lot of betrayal that happens in the people that are trying to help the RWBY team as they collect the relics, and that's mostly due to Salem's influence. So they go to each of the academies, allegedly, to collect these relics and get the maidens all together so that they can get them away from Salem. And of course, this all comes to no fruition, and it becomes a scramble, and there's always an epic battle at the end of every season.
I mean, of course. Why have cool weapons if you're not going to use them?
Bro, fight choreography in this show is amazing. Every fight, every legitimate fight between characters is really well choreographed, really well animated. It's fun to watch. It captures your imagination. So, on the opposing side, Cinder, Mercury, and Emerald are all trying to get the relics and get the maidens' powers by stealing them. What are you doing? Why are you taking off your pants? I mean, I know you like the show, but I didn't think you liked it this much.
Don't ask questions you don't want to know the answer to.
Where was I at? No, I'm kidding.
This is the first time we've recorded in person in a long time.
Yeah.
So the hijinks are afoot.
It's a lot more distracting than I would give it credit for. Like, I feel like we're less distracted when we're at our houses.
Yeah.
So the idea is that these kids are trying to all collect the relics to keep it away from the opposing side. Well, what was an interesting thing was when the maidens pass on their power when they die. It's interesting how they did this. So the maidens can only be female, right?
Or else
so
they
have
be called maidens.
Well, yeah, obviously, but they have to be female, and the person that inherits the powers from the last one, the one previous has to have them in their final thoughts as they pass, and that's how they get passed on. Or you can steal that person's soul.
I'm sorry, what?
Yep. So Cinder has a Grim arm that Salem gives her, and she can steal the soul from maidens, and that's how she actually acquires her original fall powers. Is she kills the
soul stealing bitch.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
Bad guys get a lot more brutal after old Torchwick.
Dude, in the later seasons, it gets dark. Like, so there's a general. So the Atlas military, which is one of the countries, or one of the kingdoms, they are a military-based Huntress Academy. Well, they're led by General Ironwood, who also knows about the things in the dark, or that knows about Salem, because Salem's kept under wraps.
Sit Ironwood.
James Ironwood loses his fucking mind by the end of it. So after the fall of Beacon, he retreats his army to Atlas. He closes the borders. He shuts down, because he shuts down the borders, he winds up causing chaos in his own city. Well, the Grimm are attracted to dark thoughts, like depression, anxiety, animosity, that's what attracts them.
Really?
Yeah. So what's interesting about that is now you have Atlas, which is the city above, the floating city, and you have Mantle, which is the city underneath. Kind of like the high class live in the high air, the low class live in the streets underneath. Well, it starts causing economic decline. It starts causing citizen unrest. It starts causing a bunch of fucking problems. Well, when Salem goes to attack Atlas, by the time all the things that were said and done, and James has gotten to his paranoid, delusional self of trying to save the city, and he's trying to save the city. This is something that a lot of people disagree with my opinion on. He's trying to save the city. Well, in order to do that, he starts the embargoes. He starts the border closing. He causes a rift. Well, he gets to the point where he's got to make the tough decision.
Right.
Well, after he makes the tough decision, it gets worse and worse and worse and worse. And the guy finally cracks from the pressure that he's under. And he literally threatens the entire city. He's like, look, I have a fucking atom bomb. And if we don't go with my plan, I'm going to drop it on these people. And I'm going to blow up my own city just so that I can, I'd rather have a handful that were protected than none. Because
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, he loses it. Open fire, so on the council for Atlas, their government is a 4-man council. James literally shoots one of the council members in front of a whole group of people, just for no reason, just open fires and shoots the guy, because of the pressure that he's under. And he's they come in just to talk to him, and he's just like, nope, martial law, boom.
Hey, we need to talk. No, we don't.
And he slowly starts losing his mind from all the pressure that he's under and all the losses that he's taken trying to protect the city. It gets dark, and it gets to a very adult point in the series, which was kind of what they wanted originally in the first place. They wanted the show to get more mature as the characters got more mature.
Well, and it grew up with us too. I mean, 2013 to 2022, it needs to mature. If it stayed at the same level, it would have lost all interest at this point.
Either that, or it would have been your stereotypical Saturday morning cartoon.
Right, but this is... I'm impressed. I'm all about it. I want more.
Yeah, and it's a really good show. Well, going back to what I was talking about, they get to Haven. 3 more minutes. What?
Still checking. Continue.
So, I don't know if I can do that. We're gonna have to extend this one. This one's gonna be an extended episode.
I love it. Hey, we've only got 3 more minutes. Oh, no, we got more than that.
Yeah.
No, man, we only got 3 minutes left. No, we got more. We got more than that.
So, there was one thing that was brought up that was really interesting about RWBY's eyes at the beginning. This is how interesting the storytelling is.
The Riddick size.
Huh?
The what? The Riddick size.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
They're silver.
RWBY has silver eyes. And it's brought up in the first episode that she has silver eyes.
And it's brought up by Osmond.
Yes.
And I remember his exact tone when he says it. You have silver eyes.
Come to find out, that's actually a very rare and very interesting characteristic. Yeah. She can kill Grimm with just a look.
No shit.
Yeah, RWBY has the ability to kill Grimm just by looking at them.
That's really cool.
Yeah. She doesn't gain it until later on in the series, and she doesn't learn how to control it until way later in the series.
Of
But yeah,
course.
she's like, it's pretty dope.
That is pretty badass.
Yeah, like if looks could kill, huh?
Ah,
I had to slip that one in there. So they follow and go on their misadventure to Haven Academy. They get betrayed there. They still wind up making it through. They get the Relic of Knowledge, and in season 5, when they get the Relic of Knowledge, they're on a train, and they separate the cargo so that they can protect the people from the Grim attack that's happening.
Right.
It gets derailed, and that's when they find out about Ozpin. They ask the Lamp of Knowledge, or the Relic of Knowledge, what Ozpin was hiding from them, and that's when you find out the entire story of what's going on in the background and why everybody's keeping everything such a secret. Namely, the legend of the two brothers, Salem, Ozpin being reincarnated constantly, and they come out with that knowledge, and they're like, whoa, like Ozpin's been lying to us this entire time. And then he goes dark and disappears.
Ozpin goes dark?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Nothing says you're guilty like fucking Ghost.
Oh, and that was season 6. I'm sorry, not season 5. Season 6. Season 5 was the end of the Haven arc.
Nothing says guilty like just straight up ghosting on everybody.
He comes back, but it doesn't make him any less of a douchebag. So yeah.
And I liked Ozpin, which I'm supposed to. You're supposed to like him. That's why they do that. But
you will be coming up with your own landing strategy. Go watch the show and you'll know what I'm talking about.
Oh my god. That was episode 2 or 3 right there.
Yeah. Easily. So
sorry,
we're going to be handing out parachutes? No. You will be devising your own landing strategy.
I'm sorry, what? Katoosh!
I'm sorry. Thank you.
Oh god. Pyrrha had the hots for him so bad.
Oh god.
He had no idea.
Oh, it's so, spoiler alert, it's heartbreaking when she dies, because right before
they finally
get to that point.
Fuck you.
And
fuck you for telling me that. You didn't have to tell me that. You're a dick.
So they finally get to that point, and then she's not being upfront about being able to be a candidate to acquire a maiden's powers.
Right.
Then she fucking dies in the fall of Beacon, and fucking Jean is all fucked up about it throughout the whole series. Like,
I'd be fucked up about it too.
Yeah.
That dude didn't have shit. And then, like, the chick on the side of the Wheaties box wanted his bone. and then she died.
Yeah.
Yeah.
After they fall in love with each other. Yeah. Yeah. It's the show has its moments where you're like, wow, they
fucked that guy over so bad.
But he winds up being an integral part of the story, which is cool.
Yeah, he's got to make up for being the dud. So she died and he lived. She was okay. So Pyrrha had
a monster,
impeccable, perfectional aim with her fucking spear.
Did you ever figure out what her semblance was? Motherfucking polarity.
She just threw it with. She's Magneto.
Kind of. Well, no. What it was nobody ever knew what her semblance was but her, because she did it in such minute changes.
Oh,
that nobody...
I remember, because the shield. She protected his ass. Jean was about to get his ass basically fucking ate up by a bear.
Yeah.
And she pulled his shield
up.
Odd. Light bulb.
Yeah. Yeah, her semblance was polarity.
Nice.
Like, she never told anybody but the RWBY team.
No shit.
Yeah. And that's why, she was a master combative. She was on the front of cereal boxes as a master athlete. And she went to Beacon so that she could get friends. That was the whole, because she could have studied at she could have studied at Atlas or Mantle or Vacuo. Or
She wanted friends.
She wanted friends, so she went where nobody knew her. And that's when Jean, she worked so hard to become friends with Jean. It's because Jean was the only one who had no fucking clue who she was.
Yep.
Because he was like, oh, you're the girl on the front of the cereal box, and treated her just like any other normal human being.
Right.
And she actually says in season 2, which when you go back and rewatch it is gut-wrenching and heartbreaking, she says, when you're placed on a pedestal, the people that put you there forget that they put you there in the first place. So it's really hard to make bonds with friends.
Oh, man, that is
deep. Could you imagine being under that kind of pressure?
And this is high school kids. Now, every anime has high school kids in these kinds of situations, but this show will really show you what your mind is going to do under that situation, in a different world, in a different dimension, in a different wherever the hell they are.
Yeah.
It's like their entire world is built up around this. It's their understanding. It's their basic everyday life is these fucking creatures and lives as hunters and huntresses and building weapons in fucking high school and then going to college with your fucking custom built weapons and continuing your training.
That's their lives. Which was really interesting because they also touch on the fact that not everybody becomes a huntress. Like, huntresses are actually rare.
Yep.
Like, while there's schools developed for them, they're still rare. And finding good-hearted people that are huntresses are even rarer because it's just a job to most people. So other people go to other schools that are for normal everyday shit. They just don't focus on it in the storytelling.
No, the story's about the hunters and huntresses. But I mean, you still have like farmers and teachers and doctors and shit. But it's a good show, and you would be doing yourself a great service to take the time
to watch it. It, like, you could literally power watch the entire series up to date in literally 2 days. And
so get off your asses and sit down on your asses and watch some TV.
Yo, you'd be doing yourself a disservice if you didn't. And you know, after you watch it, leave us a comment. Tell us what you felt. Tell us how you think. Because I want to argue this, because I love this show.
This is a great show, and I think we had a great time, even though we distracted each other all night. But you guys have been great. You guys are always great. I want to throw a special thank you out there to Mr. Kinsey for everything that he does for us. You are a wonderful wizard, and I appreciate your love and compassion. We don't deserve fans like you. Thank you.
Yeah, that's thank you guys, and thank everybody who listens, and you know, we'll keep it going as long as you keep us wanting to.
Yep. Don't forget we have a Patreon. Don't forget we have a link tree. All of that is on our socials on Instagram under the Rogue and Bard. It's pretty easy to find us. It's pretty easy to find everything. It's also in the links below. And again, rogueandbard.com, coupon code Tavern Talk. Go get yourself some D&D swag. Y'all have a good night.
We'll see you the next time.
You don't have to go, but you can't stay